Um, how you doing, friends? What up, Jack B. Brown and fellow martial arts members? Um, yes, Jack. I'm. This post here is about meditation. See, the thing with meditation is that you have so many different schools of thought on how to do meditation that sometimes it can become very confusing on which method is the best method. So, with this being said, I am going to attempt to explain and express to you a method that I learned that has worked for me very well, and perhaps you can also utilize this method yourself. So the method of meditations that I am speaking of, well, first there's something you need to understand about how the human brain, mind, and body works, and there is a process by which we arrive to particular behaviors in states, inner states. What I mean by inner states, I mean basically your mood or attitude, or the place where your attention is focused. Wherever your attention is focused, um, has drawn you into a state, drawn your attention onto itself particularly, and that is like a state. Let me try to make it a little bit more simpler. Um, Usually people don't realize this, but if you begin to pay attention, it may be easy for you to recognize that what I'm about to say is proper and true and exact. But um, thoughts, right? Our actions are caused by a simple process, and this simple process is we take in information, sense information from our environment. We see the information into our brain through our five senses. You know, smell, sight, hearing, taste, touch. You know all of the basic five senses. Now we take this information in through our five senses, right? And now what happens is this information comes in, and in order for us to be able to respond sufficiently and efficiently to our environment, we have to take the information that is coming in and judge it or interpret it and then decide what it is that we need to do. Now, keep in mind that all of this takes place in a matter of milliseconds, microseconds. The human brain and mind is an incredible instrument, incredible thing. Now, what happens is this information comes in through the senses. Now, everyone has a set of values, core values, and that they have come to learn and accept in their life, right? So we all have these values. We have beliefs. We have um, things we like, the things we dislike. We have what we prefer, what we don't prefer. You know, all of those things are sort of like filters. And when we receive information, the information is then compared up against these filters that I just got to talking about, and then we arrive at a conclusion, at an interpretation, right? Now, all of this is happening subconsciously. Not all the time are we aware that this process is happening, though we can become aware of it. But anyway, so the information comes in, is ran through the filters. Now, once it's ran through the filters, right, inwardly we begin to feel a specific or certain way towards or about the five sense information that we have received, right? So now we have begun to feel a specific emotion or a specific mood or attitude because of what we have received through our senses. And this mood or emotional attitude that we enter into is what the state is. When I was speaking earlier about states, the emotional attitude, the emotional feeling itself is the state. Now, when we feel a certain way or we are under the influence of certain attitudes, these things cause us to behave in a particular way. In other words, what we think affects how we feel, and how we feel determines how we will behave. Take, for example, when people are angry. When an individual is angry, they have this emotion, they're in a state, and they respond and do things from this state. Sometimes, many times, most of the time, people act in a way that is very harmful to themselves and others, out of this anger, you see. But really, what control do they have? Most people don't have any control over their emotions. and they are able to be controlled by their lower animal nature, the emotional animal instinct aspect of themselves. So meditation helps one to gain. Meditation teaches and helps one to become disciplined, and teaches one to master their lower animal nature, lower animal nature. you know. And so, with that much being said about meditation, when one goes into meditation, there are some specific things to really be aware of. One is you would like to get in an area or a space where you could easily not be disturbed. You want to be able to relax and be comfortable in your area and not have to be disturbed by people, others, or whatever, noises or whatever the situation is. That's one. Second is breathing is very important. A lot of people may not realize that it could be very easy to change one's state and even one's ideas and attitudes and all of these things just by controlling the breath. This is why in Qigong and Kung Fu and many different martial arts, the breathing, the breath is very important. So slow, rhythmic breaths. Maybe breaths that take let's say 3 counts in, hold for 3 counts, release for 3 counts, hold for 3 counts, breathe in for 3 counts, and repeat this. After a while, after repeating this for a while, the body will begin to go into a very relaxed state, a state that is like in between being fully woke and in between being asleep. That's called the middle state. The middle state, as in meditation. They also use it in the word medical and medicine, but MED represents the place in the middle. So meditation is about getting in a trance or a state that is in the middle, in between being awake fully and being completely asleep. And controlling the breath allows and helps one to go into this state. Now, with this information and knowing the process by which the human psyche unfolds, as far as we have thoughts, then it makes feelings, and then it makes actions, we can begin to understand how to properly use meditation. Now, okay, I'm still going. Now, to say something more about the proper the process of the mind is when we think in more than one way. Some people think in pictures. Some people think in sounds. They hear sounds, or maybe they hear their own or someone else's voice speaking in their heads. So that's basically the two typical ways, or the typical ways that most people think, and that is in images, which is visual, and also in sound, which is auditory. Now, these visual and auditory images that are within the individual will create a state, right? And then the state creates the action. Now, to properly meditate, when one goes into a trance, when one sits and get comfortable, like we discussed, when one begins to properly breathe and really begin to calm their body and really relax, and very gently become very still and calm, very peaceful. When one is able to do that, and then one intentionally, your intent is very important. So after you become very relaxed, you want to intentionally imagine and picture what it is that you want. You want to see within your mind's eye, your imagination, your inner eye. You want to see your outcome or your situation or your condition the way that you would like it to be. You want to see that. Okay? You also want to try to hear and imagine the sounds that you would hear if your situation was the way that you would like it to be. So what if say, for example, if let's say I wanted to be very a very good fighter, and I wanted to when I sparred, I wanted to be very fast and very powerful and very good, technical. So the way I might meditate on that is I might get along, get very comfortable. I may imagine myself behaving, acting, doing the things that I want to do. See, and I also would want to imagine what sounds will I be hearing if I spar. I'll hear maybe others kicking the pads or punching the punching bag or practicing their techniques. I may be hearing this in my environment. Um, Also with listening for the sounds you would hear, and also feeling your images, you also want to imagine how would you feel if these things were true for you. How would you feel inwardly? How would it feel? What would you hear? What would you see? Okay, and a lot of times people say, well, when I try to meditate, I have doubts. My mind always saying, you can't do this or do that. I've learned that there's one easy secret to getting past the doubt of mind, and that is all you have to do is pretend. Pretend. If you pretend, this will let down all of your guards. This will let down your guards and allow one to be able to practice this meditation very efficiently. So pretend, because if you do your research, you will possibly find that um, the brain does not or cannot tell the difference between what is imagined inwardly and what is actually being experienced through the five senses. The brain doesn't know the difference, and this is common information. If you just study psychology, you'll find that this is true. So do your own work. Don't just believe me. Don't just trust what I say. Study, research, find out if what I am saying is true. Don't believe anything anyone tells you. Find out for yourself. For example, you can test out a simple meditation and see if what I'm saying is true about the mind and states and actions. For example, I want you to compare two different situations. In both, I want you to use your imagination. In one situation, I want you to think of a time when you were very unhappy. Imagine yourself in that time, in that moment, how you felt, the kind of things you were hearing, the kind of things you were seeing that made you feel unhappy or uncomfortable. Just allow it. It could be very difficult, but um, um, just learn how to disassociate and to just watch it without actually being associated as if you are going through that process. Because you're not going through that situation now. You're just imagining it now. You're just imagining what you seen, what you saw, what you heard, and how you felt. And I want you to notice how just imagining these things causes you to feel. Now, then after this, I want you to snap out of that, break it, clap your hand, laugh or something, to snap out of that state. But then I want you to imagine a time when you were really happy, when you felt really good about yourself, or just in general, when you just felt really good and happy about something. Imagine the things you were seeing when you felt happy. Imagine the sounds or the words, the things that you were hearing when you were happy like this. Imagine the feeling, how great and wonderful it was to feel this happiness, and notice how you actually begin to feel. Notice the state it brings you in. See? And when you do this, this will be your evidence and proof that this meditation technique I am talking about works. Okay? And I hope this has been a help. Yeah. Tell me what you think, guys.